to the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents not only on the Grand Strand, but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Brand new episode. Apologize, I was out the studio last week. I was actually out of town. Our director of sales, Alex Prout, got engaged to his now fiance in Nashville. So awesome. Big shout out to them. Congratulations. Very cool to be a part of that. You know, on top of a rooftop in a hotel in Nashville on the Bobby. So very, very cool. Very excited for them. So back in the studio now. Great lineup today for the show. Exciting new stuff. We have the brand new market numbers in. For anyone that may have missed last week's show, when we talked about the micro market, we're really just kind of cap the macro market as a whole. And they're very, very interesting. One thing we've been tracking like crazy so far, 2022, it's smoking hot. We've seen new pending deals have really just rocketed up from where they were last month. And really, we're seeing an all-time low again for inventory. It's been crazy watching what's happening. Inventory just drying up. There's been so many buyers that were on the fence during the holidays that just really got into gear at a bigger, faster pace than really anybody thought. We'll talk about what's happened there overall, but we'll go over the pending deals and also inventory. We're in the 300s for the amount of houses right now available in Horry County for single-family resale homes. We'll talk about that. Also, a lot of national news has been out just about what's going on, what's happening. Right now, one of the articles we'll go over, it says, "Why right now is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to sell your house." And I was a little skeptical at first, and I started reading it, like, man, it's pretty true. All the things they're talking about, and very, very true and what's happening. Also, I just closed on a property. I bought another one for someone who just wanted an instant cash offer instead of being put on the market. We'll talk about how that works, and really that's an option. People, it's an instant buyout where it's a fair price up front, and that's an option we offer for anybody, or we go traditional routes and can get absolute top dollar on the market. And so we'll talk about that. We have seen a couple areas with some decline. We'll talk about what's going on there and kind of what's happening. Huge news in interest rates. Interest rates have been back up new. Very, very much different numbers than they were. Significant jump from last week's show even. We're getting to the high threes right now. We'll talk about that. And also, our team is hiring. Massive growth last year. We ended up with new record sales. We'll talk about where our record sales were. We have the final numbers in. Huge numbers. Over 700 houses, right? Almost 800 houses sold last year for our little team. We'll talk about that here in a few minutes.
Blake Sloan has been all the real estate whiz-gives and featured in Forbes magazine, Wall Street Journal, Realtor magazine, and national publications. You may be seeing him on TV with NBC and also with Fox and Breakfast Morning Show. You've heard the personal endorsements here by Sean Hannity. The board thing here is a lot. Put them all together, it's just totally unprecedented. Now, that's one thing. But the other thing is that Blake has trademark systems for both home sellers and home buyers. They are trademarked, so we can't give you all the details, but more than happy every week to tell you the most important part of that system.
Yes, and this couldn't be any really more important right now than ever. I've been doing the show for 10 years now, and it was kind of a big deal before, but now it's a really, really, really big deal because here's the reality of the market. We talked about this before briefly. Anybody can sell a house right now. You don't need me. You don't need an agent. You can sell it yourself. But the goal here for most people is not just to sell your house, right? You want to ask yourself the question, did I get my house sold for the most amount of money? And see, we're seeing so many people right now, the $10, $20, $30, $40, $50,000 on the table. And I'm talking, I see this every single week. We'll share a horror story today on today's show about that. But the reality is you don't need an agent at all, right? You can take your house and put a sign in the front yard, pop it online somewhere, get a buyer for it today, right? But again, does that mean you're maximizing the traffic, maximizing the eyeballs, maximizing the buyers to drive that price up to what you could get? In most cases, not. And really one of the best scenarios and best analogies I've been able to find is, the classic Corvette when I talked about before. I just want to remind, I haven't talked about that in a while, but I'm seeing it this year for 2022 with the pace of the market and why these trademark systems are so important because right now there's over 1.5 million realtors across the country, which is a new high, really all time. I think it's up from 1.2 million just a little year and a half ago. And so we're seeing that massively increase here locally across the entire country. And so the reality is you take a classic Corvette and sell it yourself. Let's say it's pristine classic Corvette, right? Been garage kept, barely even driven, maybe 100 miles on it, 200 miles on it. You can take the classic Corvette, sell it today for a good amount of money, right? You can take that same classic Corvette, put it in a Walmart parking lot on 501 right here in Myrtle Beach, put a for sale sign on it, you pop it on Craigslist, and guess what you can do? Sell that thing today. But you got to ask yourself, would I actually sell that that classic Corvette for the most amount of money? We both know absolutely not, right? Because if we took the same classic Corvette, put that classic Corvette, every Corvette enthusiast magazine, every Corvette enthusiast website online, every Corvette enthusiast group online, and see hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people now see that same Corvette. Guess what happens? You find more buyers who are willing to pay a premium for that Corvette. And that's the same exact thing that we do with our system for houses. So what most agents do out there is they just do really the 3 Ps. One, they promise you the world to get the listing, meaning they tell you anything and everything to get a listing from you, right? Because why is that? They're trying to survive in the business, make some money. Number two, they do the second P, which is just put it to MLS. It takes some cell phone photos or any type of basic photos, most of which are pretty terrible. Then they put it to MLS. And then three, they pray that someone else brings a buyer, meaning that some agent from a different company has a buyer they're working with, and they're just hoping they bring their buyer and they split the commission half and half. Now, that works decent, but in reality, you have to ask yourself the question, am I getting the most amount of money for my house in that scenario? We both know that's not true at all. And so I sought out years ago, and there's got to be a better way, more efficient way to get more, obviously, traction for our clients. And so I designed this system called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells twice as fast and for up to 20% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. I designed it. We licensed other agents in other parts of the country, but it's designed to do one thing, is to give you, the client, a competitive advantage. Because what most people don't realize, when you sell a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. If each one of those variables is handled correctly, guess what it does? Puts money in your pocket, property gets sold. If anything's handled incorrectly, aka they drop the ball at any point, that could be anything from price strategy. We're seeing that a lot right now where people are pricing it too low, selling it too quick, and costing themselves $20,000, $30,000. It could be the quality of photos, right? Are they professional photos? Are they just regular amateur photos? What's the order of the photos? There is a buyer psychology in how buyers search online. They search by elimination, looking at hundreds of listings, and so yours has to stand out. Does your agent actually answer the telephone when someone calls in to buy it? Off the for sale sign, off the internet lead? If they do submit on the internet, how long does it take them to respond? So there's all these variables that have to happen. And the reality is it's impossible physically for one single agent to do all those effectively. And so we designed two things that really give advantage there: a team, AK people, right? 30 plus people on our team. Plus we have technology and systems that allow us to manage those proactively to give you that huge competitive advantage. So if you listen to the show, we will make sure we share that every single week, because I see so many horror stories. No matter how fluent the people are, they still make that same mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And so here's the bottom line: the single most important variable that will determine your failure or success as a home seller and also a home buyer comes down to one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, because it comes down to how they actually execute. And so on the buy side, we also have something additional to that guaranteed sold system. It's called the unfair advantage home buying system. Gets our buyers priority access to foreclosure, distress sales, desperate sellers, but more importantly, the absolute best negotiation guidance, right? It really help them get into through the home inspection negotiation all the way to the closing table successfully. And so if you want to know more about that, want to work with the team, top 1% in North America, reach out to us, call us, and more happy to share with you how that system works and how to position yourself to make sure you can win the most in this market right here. We'll take a quick break, be right back.
Here with my trusted friend in the real estate market, Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. So what do home sellers, what do they need to know about the market right now?
Okay.
Records, sellers are getting
No worries.
coming in